as Leah mentioned, I'm Roger Michaels with Crestron Electronics. I'm your regional sales manager for the Ohio Valley territory. And you know, it's funny when the great folks at Dobil asked me to present, I said, what are our topics? And one of them was higher ed. So a little bit of my background, I actually started my business or AV career about 23 years ago at Purdue University. So I was a design engineer and Crestron programmer for centrally scheduled spaces at Purdue. So this is a subject that's kind of near and dear to my heart. And so thank you for allowing me to share some knowledge and hopefully answer some questions today. So I wanted to talk about XIO Cloud and what Crestron's doing and how it relates to college campuses. And I know you guys are like, Roger, we have Fusion, we have RoomView, why XIO Cloud? So let's dive into that for a minute. And I know that these are a little harder for you to see. So I'm actually going to read these highlights. The rest of the slides are pretty good. But this is just an XIO Cloud versus Fusion breakdown. So feature comparisons. Manage settings in a hierarchy. You can't do that with Fusion. You can do that with XIO Cloud. Update firmware remotely and on a schedule. We all know, those of you that have Fusion, you can't do that. You can't update firmware on devices through Fusion. Manage a low control system programs and touchscreen objects. Once again, we know that Fusion doesn't do that, but XIO Cloud allows you to do that and on a schedule as well. Add, remove, transfer feature licenses on devices. So as you've probably seen over the years, Crestron has started adding device licenses for lots of different products. XIO Cloud lets you manage those licenses and apply and move them around as you see fit. View live status of connected devices. Yes, they both will do that. So Fusion will let you see those custom properties and get a status, and XIO Cloud will as well. Receive error alerts via email. Yes, they will both do that. Receive error alerts via SMS. No, you can't do that with Fusion. Yes, you can with XIO Cloud. Manage device IP tables. Can't do that with Fusion. Yes, you can with XIO Cloud. Control the room remotely. Yep, you can pull up an X panel. That link is usually in Fusion. You can actually see that touch panel in your classroom and take control of it. You're allowed to do that, and it's fully supported in XIO Cloud as well. Schedule events to happen at specific times. You can do it with both. View status from custom program fields. Here's really, honestly, the key difference between, or one feature that I feel like Fusion is really good at and XIO Cloud's not, is all those custom triggers and custom items that you have programmed on your touch panels. You can track those with Fusion. XIO Cloud, there's really no way for us to build in enough hooks and joins for you to be able to see every granular detail that you want to monitor and manage within that program in that room. View historic reports and dashboards. Yes, you can do that in both. Now, this is where there's lots more yeses under Fusion than XIO Cloud. Send instant messages between the room touchscreen and the software. Yes, for Fusion. You can't do that with XIO Cloud. View a live webcam of the room. As you know, you could give a link to your webcam in Fusion. You can't do that in XIO Cloud. Connect to a calendar, view metrics. Yes, you can do that within Fusion. You can't do that within XIO Cloud. Send broadcast messages. Yeah, you can't do that in XIO Cloud, but you can do it in Fusion. Monitor energy usage, which I don't know if a lot of people actually use Fusion for, but you can do that in Fusion and not XIO Cloud. And available in the cloud. Yeah, they're both available in the cloud. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because I know that when we launched XIO Cloud a few years ago, people are like, well, the question always was, what's the difference between the two? So hopefully that clarifies that. I'll be happy to answer any questions at the end, or you can work with the great folks at Dobil if you need more information on really what the differences are. And I also have that document that I can share with Leah at the end of this, or you guys can email me directly because I'm sure I know a lot of you on the call. So the pain of unmanaged technology in our world, you can't configure devices multiplied by 100 at one time with the way that we do things now. With XIO Cloud, that opens up that door. Changes used to have to be made one by one to each device. Not with XIO Cloud anymore. You can actually select what parameters within those devices you want to change and change them by building, maybe by floor of a building or by certain device type, and it can be scheduled. You can support users without having to physically go to the room on a 5-minute class break, right? So XIO Cloud will allow you to see that there's things that are happening and to be able to go in and either take control of the touch panel and make sure they're hitting the right button, the one that says show PC or whatever label you have it programmed. So you can do that remotely with XIO Cloud. But really, the big thing, what it comes down to is how often does your budget for classroom support increase? How often are you allowed to hire new people to support the 100 classrooms you just added over the last 5 years? I know in my past experience, the answer was never. So if you guys are seeing your budgets for support, not for actually purchasing the rooms, but for support, and also budgets to hire more people to support those rooms, drop it in chat. I'd like to know, because what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing across all of our schools who are Crestron schools, that's not happening. They're actually losing people. And so XIO Cloud is a way for you to manage those rooms with fewer people and just help your overall management suite and management platform. Why choose XIO Cloud? It's going to reduce your install time and your costs. It'll let you configure all those devices, and it'll let you resolve issues remotely. Now you've asked a question and we listened. So when we launched XIO Cloud, as you know, we were charging per device per month. I knew immediately that was going to not fit the procurement method or actually fit in budgets for higher ed. And we heard the feedback, we listened, and I'm glad that we've made changes. So now XIO Cloud is a per room, per month fee. So you can group as many Crestron devices in a classroom as you want. Say you have a classroom that has 50 NVX devices, a couple of TSW panels, a processor. You could pay that per month fee for that one room and not per device any longer. So as you can see on the screen, we also let you pick the level of support through XIO Cloud that you want. You don't have to have API access. And what is that? You're like, what is that? Well, if you have Microsoft Power BI and you like to export data out of other programs and organize it in a way that you like to view it or customize it, that's what that API access service level is for. I actually don't know of a lot of people that use it in XIO Cloud, maybe some larger corporate organizations who leverage Microsoft Power BI. But I'll be honest with you, not too many people use it. But then you have endpoint management and support. Endpoint management lets you change settings, lets you update firmware, lets you load programs, lets you reboot systems. The support side gives you your device status, your remote control, so you can view that TSW or that scheduling panel or that flex touch panel remotely. It allows for SMS and email alerts to come out. So you guys can set different urgency levels within those alerts, and also group at what level who gets those alerts. So say maybe you have 5 people who manage your classrooms, or possibly you have several different support groups on campus. You can set up to only get text messages for the buildings, rooms, or systems that you're responsible for, so you don't see all of them for your campus. So in my mind, I really felt like this opened up XIO Cloud to higher ed specifically. If you add it up, the advertised price, $7 a month, it's $84 a year per room. I know that ongoing service fees maybe don't fit the budget, or they may fit the budget, may not fit the model. So one of the schools that I deal with here in Indiana, I've set them up to the point where when they buy a technology upgrade, say for 10 classrooms, and they work with their integrator. I say, build that cost in for 3 years, right? So 3 years, 5 years, you can do it for 1 year, but that way you don't have to worry about that reoccurring model until your next life cycle. So if your life cycle refresh is 7 years, build in 7 years into that price of that room up front, and then you don't have to worry about going back and trying to get money next year for XIO Cloud. You can just do it at the time of purchase when you refresh those spaces. So let's talk about what you can do with the individual pieces. So the endpoint management, it lets you provision devices in a room before the installation. So one of the really cool things about XIO Cloud is you could say, all right, folks at Dobil, we're going to refresh 20 rooms. You go through your procurement process, Dobil gets a PO, they send a PO to Crestron, they order those devices. Well, they're going to come from New Jersey, or they're going to come from Texas in our warehouses. When they're on a truck, hopefully not locked in the Suez Canal, but when they're on a truck from one of those two warehouses, your integrator gets a shipping report. It'll have a serial number and MAC address. What that allows them to do is, if they're managing your XIO Cloud portal, if you're managing your own, you can go into XIO Cloud, claim those devices while they're sitting on a truck as soon as they leave the warehouse. You can then go in and copy and paste other configurations from similar room types, get them claimed, organized in your hierarchy of building, floor, however you want to set it up, and then publish that to the cloud. So from then, it's the normal process, right? You receive your gear, and your configuration is kind of sitting there in the cloud waiting for something to happen. Another great thing about the endpoint management is, say you have 30 rooms and you want to change an NVX setting. Pick a setting within that NVX encoder or decoder that you need to change. Through XIO Cloud, you can make those changes, but it logs who made it. So say, Roger, I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh man, I need to make this change, and I make it. Well, all of a sudden, you're getting trouble calls from 30 rooms. You're like, what happened? You can go through back in XIO Cloud and find out what settings that I changed and revert them back to how they were before, without having to guess exactly what happened in those 30 rooms. So it gives you a way to just have some accountability to changes that are made as you move through. So let's talk about service. It allows you to provide white glove functionality to those people that are in the classrooms. Remote control of the touchscreen. I don't know how many times when I was at Purdue, I was able to pull up the X panel of a touch panel in one of our large lecture halls. It was kind of complex. This was in 1998, 99. So we weren't as conscious of trying to make the user interfaces or the touch panels really simple to use. Actually, when I started, that was one of the things that we worked on, but lots of buttons, lots of things that instructors need to do while they're up there trying to get their presentation started, trying to get their mic clipped on, trying to make sure that everybody's in their seats and trying to start conducting class, then all of a sudden their technology doesn't work. Those of us who have been in those 5-minute class breaks trying to do a break fix know that that person is generally not really happy with the person that's coming in to try to help them. So the remote support allows you to jump in and hopefully fix 60 to 70% of your issues on campus right from your desktop computer, and not have to sprint over, dodge students, and wait outside the door and get in before all the students are coming out the door to go in to figure out what's wrong with your classrooms. And once again, it gives you alerts for devices that fall offline. Wouldn't it be great to know on Sunday that you had a power outage in the wing of your building and only half of your devices came back up? I know it would not be so great to have to go in on a Sunday, but it would be great to know what you're facing Monday morning, or to go in and actually fix it on a Sunday. And then technical dashboards for your devices. Fusion doesn't tell you what firmware revision your TSW 760 or 1060 is on. It won't tell you what software version your processor's on. Yes, I know you can remote into those devices, but with XIO Cloud, you can do it at a batch level and know that all your devices are up to date without having to go to each individual device. It's such a time savings to be able to do all of this at a glance from your computer. Remote control, we just talked about it. Take control of the touch panel from anywhere. See and control what's going on. We don't need to really go into that any further, but it's a really valuable tool. So let's walk through life without XIO Cloud for a minute in a traditional, what I would call AV installation or any application that we've been in before. If you're within your local area network, you're on campus, you're at your computer, you can type in the IP address of that Air Media over there, and up comes the web page, right, that you're seeing right there, and there's all your settings and there's all those things. That's great, right? I can go to that one device and I can change that one setting on that one device. But what happens if remote? I happen to be home working remotely. Like during this pandemic, I know that a lot of you have tried to or have told like you need to stay away from campus, but there's always people that are using your stuff, and now you're talking about having to use a VPN to get into that one device. Well, with XIO Cloud, we have a tunnel, right? And so no special firewall rules or anything like that. You can just get into that device. And like I highlighted before, say you have 100 Air Medias on campus, and we push an update for firmware that unlocks a feature that you've been wanting forever. Well, normally in the old model and 3 slides ago, you'd have to go to one box, or you'd send a student to the room, or you would go to the room, plug into the device, log in, make those changes, hit enter, unplug, put your computer in your bag, go to the next room, rinse, repeat 100 times. With XIO Cloud, you go in, you select all your AM200 devices within your network, select the change that you want to make, and either publish it right there, or say, I want to do this at midnight tonight, and then we'll send people around to make sure that everything's functioning after we've done it tomorrow. And then it could be a student worker that you send to go check out all those things. It's not you that has to go to every room. You've done the heavy lifting. You've made all those changes. And you can send a student possibly to go around and check to make sure that that Air Media is doing exactly what you wanted it to do. Or fire up the touch panel remotely and make sure it's doing what you want it to do. So this is an example of what life was like before. So you have all these boxes that are sitting in a warehouse, right? Picture that's Crestron warehouse in Texas. You get an order, and you could go in and you can do all those things that we just talked about. You can make all those changes, but you want to be able to configure these devices before they reach your campus. How does it work? So this is a perfect example. You see a shipping label, and that might be hard to read, but I'll read it from my large screen. That's an AM200. It's got the MAC address and the serial number right there. You get that information, you go into your XIO Cloud portal, claim that device or those 50 devices. Great. Now you go through and you copy the change or the settings from one that you already have on campus that you know is perfect. You apply that to the configurations of your AM200, the new ones that are on the truck, and that goes out to the cloud, and it sits there till you plug it in on campus, and then all of a sudden you go in and you plug in your Air Media device, you get it, physically install it, and now it says, hey, I'm here, I'm available. Do you have any updates for me? XIO Cloud goes, yeah, you've been claimed, you've been configured. Here's your information. And all that happens, and it can be done before you even receive it. So you can see how it could change or speed up your deployment schedules for your campus. And it's just web configurations, right? So you could train some people maybe who aren't maybe your Crestron programmer is the one who's doing this. You could train student workers or anybody else on how to do these configurations and move it along. So I want to talk about XIO Cloud and security and a little bit about that. So it's a cloud-first platform, and it's outbound connections, right? So we're not trying to force data through your firewall to these devices. It kind of works like firewall traversal and video conferencing. So you have the Crestron device that's sitting behind your firewall. It's reaching out to the cloud. Hey, anything there? Anything there? Well, that one time there is something there, your firewall knows that this device requested this information from this cloud service. And just like a web page, when you want to get information back from a web page, your firewall knows your computer requested that information. So it's secure, and that information will flow back through. So, and it's also serviced where we monitor it 24/7, 365. And we have different regions to make sure that if one region fails, we could do a failover to another region in Microsoft Azure. So feature updates. NVX endpoints, firmware upgrades to DGEs, DMPS chassis with DM chassis with CPU 3 cards, DM Lite, VC4, Avia. You can change settings in Crestron Flex units. You can load files on 3 series and 4 series processors. Full system configuration for X series touchscreens, TSS 7s and 10s, AMs 200s, 300s, Mercuries, aux sensors, you name it. So there are monthly, what we call sprints in XIO Cloud. Keep adding feature sets to all our existing product lines. So just keep an eye out for that. If you have any questions about it, the folks at Dobil will put you in contact with me so we can talk about, hey, when is this feature going to be supported in XIO Cloud? I'll take it back to engineering and I'll get an answer for you. Updates within the past 90 days, new device features. Our new 4KZ HDMI switchers, you can label the inputs now. You can edit the routing tables or make routes to XIO Cloud, EDID management, DMPS3s, program load, project load, some flex additions, some feature enhancements, customer estate dashboards at a glance. We're also, the great thing about Fusion is we had Crestron connected devices, displays and projectors that would report directly to Fusion. You didn't have to touch them. We have a partnership with Samsung. They have displays that will directly report to XIO Cloud without you having to lift another finger, and there are more manufacturers coming on board all the time. What else is upcoming? So service provider inputs, granular licensing. If you choose to let Dobil manage your XIO Cloud portal, they can have licenses for your specific spot on campus. If you're not the entire campus manager, break them out that way. You can view your specific online store. When are my licenses going to expire, renew? That will send POs to Dobil to, on your behalf, renew those licenses. And a management portal that'll let people, be able to manage multi-tenant. So that's where I feel like I know a lot of campuses that I deal with, lots of people have their own Crestron A+ account. That doesn't mean that you have to have multiple XIO Cloud accounts, right? You can get one XIO Cloud account and segregate it based on who has control on your campus.
Roger?
Yes.
We have a question. Is there any problems accessing this from a smartphone or a tablet?
No, it's a web page. We are going to, if you have a ticketing system on campus, ServiceNow, we are getting ready to open, be able to exchange information between ServiceNow and XIO Cloud. So that way, if XIO Cloud sees that there's an issue in room 1205 in Gallahue Hall, if you have a ticketing system, if it's ServiceNow, we're working with trying to get integrated with others, that will actually open up a help desk ticket within ServiceNow so it can flow through your normal process. So you want to try it. I get it. We have a way for you to trial XIO Cloud today. You sign up, it'll give you immediate access to your own XIO Cloud account. All the services are available there for you to try it. We can give you support for up to 10 rooms for 30 days. If you need longer than that, just work through Dobil and myself. We'll take care of you. My goal is to get people to use it, because I'll be honest with you, when Crestron announced XIO Cloud, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't think at the time, or I guess I didn't have the vision of where it was going to go. But I'll be honest with you now, I have clients who live and breathe with it, and are really, really glad that they move forward. They use it every day. And there are projects that Crestron wins because of this, at schools, in corporate environments. This is the way that people want it, IT folks especially. In the past, they've always managed their stuff this way. Those of us on the AV side, we've just been behind, right? But we're not anymore. Now we have a tool that allows IT managers and AV managers to speak the same language and control AV devices in the same way that those IT folks have been doing for years. So I wanted to talk a little bit about room control from anywhere. So I know with the pandemic, there could be people who say, man, I don't want to go touch that touch panel. I don't know who touched that before me. You can't clean it often enough. I get it, right? But everybody's got this, and everybody's okay with touching their own this, right? It's my germs, it's my cooties. I don't care, I'll touch it, no big deal. So Crestron's come up with a way for you to control your rooms with your smartphone. So several changes you're faced with when you come back to work. User interfaces are designed for big touch panels. They're not designed for these, right? It's not easy for individuals to control the room. No one's going to use it, right? If people are still scared to go in and use those touch panels, the rooms aren't going to get used. So it must be simple, and it has to be cost effective to be able to roll out, because we know that you have 150 touch panels on campus. Crestron Mobile. So mobile room control really made simple. Automatically discovers and connects via Bluetooth. You can authenticate. So a lot of people say, we're using Bluetooth. What if our rooms are back to back? Well, as you can see here, there's a QR code that will pop up, and you can use your camera. And then also it'll tell you right there in the corner, this is room 1015, right? So either you get an authentication code or a QR code that tells you that, hey, this is the room. And then your controls are friendly. So say you have a 10-inch touch panel, you have all these room controls on it. You can drill down to the 5 or 10 things that you think people are going to want to use their mobile phone for to control, and set it up that way. So it's not going to try to cram all the features of that touch panel onto your mobile phone. So robust security model, Bluetooth connection avoids network and firewall problems. Localized connection prevents remote unauthorized use, so it's secure. You can connect with challenge code or QR pins. Minimum system required. You need a 7 or 10-inch, 60 or 70 series panel, 3 or 4 series processor, and it could be any custom touch panel UI that you have, or an AV framework project. So here are the steps. You review your existing codes. If you're programmers, we kind of showed some join numbers there on that picture on the left. So that's what you would see in VT Pro E. We have an Excel spreadsheet that you bring those in, and we make the changes, and then we load your settings to a touchscreen. So other people have taken a different approach where you actually have to change the code. This is just an add-on file to your to your touch panel. You don't have to rewrite everything. And what happens if your touch panel and your processor are on a different network and your personal device can't access that network? It's not going to work. So this is why we've taken the approach that we have, to be able to push that file to the touch panel and do Bluetooth communication between the touch panel and your phone. It's more secure, It's more cost effective and it's less labor intensive to be able to give all of your users this. Now that it is a license fee, and right now I will tell you it is for iOS devices only. Right before I jumped onto this call, I emailed the product manager to see if he could give me an update on when Android was going to be supported, but I haven't got an answer back. That's something you can follow up with the folks at Dobil. If you're Android users, hey, can you go beat Roger over the head and find out, when they're going to support my device if you're not an iOS user. Let me go back for a second. So to talk about this a little bit, there's a license that lives within your processor. So that's how we control it. If you have VC4, which is our Crestron's, find the right words for it. Basically, it's a processor on a computer without any of the COM ports done through Ethernet. If you have VC4, if you're thinking about using VC4 to control all your devices in one building, then this is free. So there is no license fees if you have a VC4 subscription. How much does it cost? It's $12 a month. So $12 a month will get you the touchless control off of a public touchscreen and onto your phone. So no presentation would be right without a little peek into the future. So some things that you're going to see from us in the coming year. I know everybody's been asking for it, USB 3.2 extension and HDMI to USB conversion. We are in the works. You will see products from Crestron that will cover that. DM-NVX, we're on our 3rd generation. And we know that there are competing products out there that let you pick and choose maybe features, or maybe if you only need 1080p video, that maybe the NVX 360 or the E30s and D30s just don't fit the bill from a price perspective. Well, we're going to add 2 new series that will basically let you pick the resolution flavor that you want, and it'll fit a price point so you don't have to jump all the way to a 360 or a D30 or an E30. Different HD presentation switchers, so updates to the DMPS line will be happening over the next couple of years. PoE speakers, right? Everybody wants to be able to do everything via Dante or networked audio. So that's some of the segments that have been missing from our line over the years. So we'll be also bringing those features to amplifiers to be able to take network audio into our amplifiers. And then with a networked speaker, you just need Cat5 everywhere and Dante, and you're covered. And some new Soros surface mount speakers.